Hello, welcome in second intermission edition. Jesse Montano, Meghan, Angley, Avs, Blues, and holy smokes, did that go off the rails quickly, Meghan. We talked about the fact in the first intermission that the Avs looked good, had some good jump. We liked a lot of the details, but hey, you got to clean up the last few minutes there of that first period. Not only did the Avs not clean things up, they actually got a little bit worse. St. Louis really controlled that entire period and scored 3 goals, the last of which coming in the final 10 seconds. Avs, in a game that they need to have, are down 3-1 heading into the third period after their game has just kind of fallen off a cliff here in this game.
Yeah, there wasn't. I thought you were going to ask.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay because I found the Holloway goal, so I was finally rewatching it and thought I had an extra second. But even in this short glimpse at it, it is a tale of what went wrong for them in the second period, and it's a struggle because it's self-inflicted. They had a good first period to build on, and they open the scoring. So they start from a leg up, and the ice, though, was pretty neutral. St. Louis obviously tilted in their favor, and it's because they play smarter hockey.
Yep.
You know, the Avs are not winning puck battles. They're not winning races to pucks. That leads to extended shifts in their end, and that means better quality possession for St. Louis. It means more high-danger opportunities allowed on net, which means more rebound opportunities, which means that's harder for your goaltender to stop. And all of that points back to checking out of assignments a little too early or not checking in for them soon enough. And those are all avoidable things that the Avs should know better than to do. So it's frustrating because I always give them a little bit of room for growth when they're on the second leg of a back-to-back, but this is too important for you to just drop the ball. You know what? It's frustrating me. If they have opportunities at points in the second period, some high-danger opportunities of their own, Casey Middlestat with a chance, Drury and Colton working at the net front, exactly names, too, that you want to be hearing come up as being difference makers in this game. And I even made a mental note, seeing the frustration on everyone's faces when the opportunity was stopped, because I want to see the frustration. I want to see them competitive in this game, and that intensity, I think, is a good thing. But it just sort of falls off because for a couple seconds, they take the shift off, and that is enough to cost you in an NHL hockey game because the St. Louis Blues are an NHL team, and they have a say in this game too, and they also care about these division points.
They're just not competing. Like, there's no, in that period, in my opinion, Meghan, there was just no compete from the Avs. All 3 goals are just because St. Louis wants it more. And to your point, it's well, I don't necessarily know if this is a point that you were trying to make just there, but it's crazy to me that the St. Louis Blues want this game more than the Avs do, given where everything sits in the standings, given what the implications of this game mean. Again, part of what I liked about the first period was it felt like the Avs were coming out in an attempt to respond to the effort that we saw, not the effort we saw last night, the result that we saw last night. And then it just felt like that was kind of completely abandoned in the second period. And that pushback isn't there. St. Louis kind of came out, just did what they wanted when they wanted. Nothing really super dangerous or exciting sustained for the Avs. To your point, couple moments here and there. Casey Middlestat with a really nice steal in the neutral zone, turned that into a high danger chance of his own. But nothing really felt like sustainably threatening for the Avs. And all 3 goals. Schen's goal finds a rebound, beats everyone else to it. Colton Parayko's goal beats his man to the back door and then finds a rebound. And then the third one, as much as we talked about the positives of Jack Drury and what we've liked out of him in the first intermission, he stops playing. He takes 2 strides off and he gets beat to the net with 10 seconds to go and it costs his team a goal. That's all just the Avs not wanting it enough. That's not them being competitive enough. And that's not them having the right intention in that period. And I don't know if that's maybe them. I don't know why you'd take your foot off the gas in a 1-0 game. But there's no reason why they should have been pushed around by St. Louis the way that they just were. And they got to find a way to respond here in the third period.
You know, there's a physical fatigue that you can anticipate to some extent, second leg of a back-to-back, but there's also a mental fatigue that I'm struggling to grant allowances for because they have just come back
We
from
just
the
had
break.
2 weeks off.
And I know that this is exactly what gets the Avs in the rest versus rust debate is they always have a weird amount of rust to shake off, and it does feel a bit mental, and that is not excusing them.
No.
I'm allowed to be grumpy about it. But even going back to the power play that they get early-ish into the second period, the man advantage opportunity, they're bobbling pucks. They can't connect passes. And we were joking, like, oh, the power play is broken again. But you know what? The power play is a little bit broken again because now there's a 2-goal difference in this game, and you're really looking at that as an opportunity you should have capitalized on, or at least looked a little more dangerous.
Well, Megan, you know, I appreciate you attempting to find some allowances to grant, but I'm not going to do any of that. The Blues also played last night. The Blues were also just off for 2 weeks. The Blues also had players that were playing for Team Canada just 3 days ago. There is zero excuse why this Avalanche team should look even remotely like what we just saw in that second period. And like I said, to me, it's an engagement issue. And that when I'm looking at the power play, because you're spot on, again, the power play looks like it's struggling again. It's engagement. Nobody's moving. It's a lot of guys standing up with their sticks around their waist, weak on passes, weak on their stick, weak on their back check. Look, comment just came in and says no one on this team gives a crap. I don't believe that. I think these guys care, but they shut it off in the second period. They didn't do what they needed to, and all the good that we saw in that first period, they just completely abandoned there in the second 20 minutes, and they got the result that they deserved in that frame of being down 2 goals. And now you've got to dig in and take your game not only back to where it was in the first period, but a couple levels above that, because you got to get tied back up. You got to get a goal in the first 5 minutes and then work on getting the game tied. The Avs did themselves a horrible disservice here on the second night of a back-to-back, putting themselves in a situation where they're having to chase a multi-goal deficit. When they had a lead in this game, look, they're going to have to really come out with something special here to find a way to scrape points out of this road trip. You go 0 for 4 in terms of points you could have gotten.
The Avs record when they score first is a pretty good one. And for some reason, this team does seem to perform well under pressure. I hate that they have to be chasing a game to sort of light a fire under their butts. So I don't think this game has been lost for the Avs just yet.
Yeah.
But you're right. Now, instead of this just being a 1-1 game, for example, and you're in search of the game-winning goal,
right? They
still need to tie it. And it's a tough place to be on the second leg of a back-to-back when you're already trying to empty the tank because you probably are fatigued both physically and mentally. You've just made your life so much harder than it needs to be. And I agree with your assessment that I don't think this is a team that doesn't care altogether.
Right.
I think what I liked about the first period was that it wasn't perfect, but it felt sustainable. And the fact that they fell off so hard from that, it makes me, all right, then the first period was pretty unacceptable because I thought you intended to do that for another 20 minutes and another 20 minutes. You weren't allowed to stop after that. You had to keep going. That was supposed to be something to build momentum off of. So I look at the second period, though, and Casey Middlestat stripping the puck at center ice for a net front chance, and Devon Toews even defending on the breakaway chance the opposite way. Expert, defense. In isolation, they care, but that's not enough. That's not enough with a 2-goal deficit. You're right. They're going to have to be pretty special in the third period. I think they're pretty special, so they're capable of it, but they can't take any more shifts off, not even for a second.
No, you have to win the first shift of the third period. And then, like I said, you have to score in the first 5 minutes and kind of assert yourself back in this game. The part to me, though, if we're looking big picture, Megan, I really hate what we just watched. Last night, it really felt like they maybe deserved a better result.
Yeah, because it was a pretty full 60 effort.
Right. They played pretty well, but they couldn't get one to go. And, it's hard to feel good about things when you can't find the next goal, when you can't get one past the goaltender. But tonight, this is concerning for me because it's like, I don't know how you ramp up the stakes any higher for, regular season. You're fighting for a playoff spot. Yeah, you're in a playoff spot right now. You're up by 8 points in that playoff spot, but the team that you're 8 points up on has 3 games in hand on you. You're into the final almost quarter of this season. You just got a 2-week break. You lost last night. Like I said, you couldn't get one to go. You liked your process. How do you ramp it up even more to get them where they need to be without having to fall into a 3-1 deficit? I don't like the response after that first period. And you know, it's just one of those things that those are the types of habits that are concerning beyond whatever result they get here in this game. To me, whatever they do here in the third period, this game's now tainted by, what happened? Why did you make this so hard on yourself? The Avs need to find a way to get back in this game, and this is the thing that they've got to figure out how to correct. If you can't have your A game, bring your B game. That was the Avs C or D game there in the second period, and you just have to start eliminating that.
Yeah, because your goaltender is human tonight. He's allowed to be, by the way, because he's bailed you out a lot of opportunities.
I don't put any of those on him.
No. And, you know, you look at expected goals against, and maybe that number comes in a little bit shy of what you'd like to see for Mackenzie Blackwood in terms of the differential between the two. But again, we look at how the goals get scored, and there's some kind of bailing out that's happening, whether it be not winning a race or not winning a battle along the wall, extended zone time, then losing a battle at the net front. Like, there's lots of ways that this breaks down before it breaks down for Mackenzie Blackwood, to include him absorbing some of the initial attempts, and there's just a rebound that's allowed, and you need stronger net front coverage then in that case. Anyways, this wasn't to dunk on Mackenzie Blackwood. This was more so to say your goaltender is allowed to be human some nights. And I want that to be part of the motivation for the Avs in the third. Is there is a huge portion of the fan base that was quick to say, all right, the goaltending was resolved. What's the issue now? And is this team for real? Mm-hmm. And I think that they have not answered that question definitively just yet, that they're for real now, that the goaltending has been resolved. They are given a chance to win on a nightly basis in net. So what are they doing in response to it? And was goaltending really the issue early on? We know the answer is yes, but they still have a lot that they need to prove to themselves, that they're capable of winning games as a group in front of the goaltender too. And I think that should bother them a little bit. You know, Jared Bednar, he can point out what's wrong and he can point out what they've done well, but he can't make them understand and he can't make them care. That is up to them.
Well, and we pointed out in the first period that I really liked what they were doing in their own end. I actually thought they had kind of cinched the screws down defensively a bit. No high danger chances against in that first period. And to your point, Megan, like Mackenzie Blackwood makes the first save on the first two goals. And then the third one is a backdoor odd man rush that Jack Drury doesn't, loses a race. I don't put any of those on Mackenzie Blackwood. And I would even go as far to say he's, again, giving you a chance to win. There were just a lot of habits that they had in that first period that I felt like all disappeared in the second frame. This is maybe an obvious question, or maybe this is a question with an obvious answer, excuse me. What do they need to change here in the third? We're getting ready to drop the puck on the final frame. Avs need to overcome a 2-goal deficit. What's got to change?
Clock in.
Yes.
The shift started, guys. It is time to get to work. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, okay? I'm looking even at that first period where they had a little bit of an advantage. Blackwood is bailing them out with some saves right at the end of that period. They don't start on a very positive note. It's just unacceptable. They need to clock in.
You got to go to work. I love what you said there. Jared Bednar can give them all the tools, but they've got to go out to do it. Ray Bennett can give them the tools. They got to go out and do it. Avs got to come out here with their hair on fire in the first shift of this third period. That is going to do it. Second intermission. Avs Blues. We'll be right back here to wrap it up post-game. Avs got a lot of work to overcome. We'll see if they can do it. She's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. We'll see you after the game.